Thank you for joining us now. I am Franco Malape. We'll begin from the Federal Capital Territory, where the federal government says it has disbursed a total of $64.8 million and committed about $392 million for the development of off-grid electrification projects in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. Hence, the total commencement or commitment made by the government to steer the projects is estimated at $456.8 million. The federal government said the disbursements were done under the Nigeria Electrification project being handled by the Rural Electrification Agency of the federal government. Under the NEP, a total of $550 million loan facility was made available to Nigeria by the World Bank and the African Development Bank with the target of providing off-grid electricity to 705,000 households. It is also to provide electricity to 90,000 micro, small and medium enterprises, 100 isolation and treatment centers, and 400 primary health care centers in unserved and underserved areas of Nigeria. And away from there now, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has presented a budget estimated of about 697.05 billion for the 2023 fiscal year. The budget, christened Budget of Completion, has a capital expenditure of 354 billion naira and 344.005 billion naira for the recurrent expenditure, totaling about 697 billion naira, as against the previous year's revised provision of 631.8 billion naira. Presenting the budget at the House of Assembly, Uyo Governor Emmanuel explained that the budget was predicated on an oil benchmark of $70 per barrel at a production rate of 1.69 million barrels per day, and was focused on the policy thrust of the consolidating on the gains of the 8-point completion agenda. The governor further expanded that the policy objectives of the 2023 budget will include stimulating the state economy to create opportunities for gainful employment through industrialization, agriculture, as well as air and sea infrastructure. Continue support for the SMEs as the engine of the economy to encourage local capacity in manufacturing and the use of locally made products for domestic use export. Among others, he also outlined strategies for realizing the set objectives, including partnering with foreign investors in relevant sectors of the economy and the robust human capital development, widening the industrial base of the state, thereby enhancing the availability of goods and services for domestic consumption, among others. And in the meantime, Bayelsa State Governor Senator Dunye Diri on Monday presented over 385 billion naira appropriation bill to the House of Assembly for consideration for the 2023 fiscal year. Presenting the proposal tagged Budget of Sustainable Growth and Reconstruction at the Assembly, Diri said it was hinged on a 6-pronged agenda, which included the continuous building of infrastructure and reconstruction of such infrastructure that had been severely degraded by the floods. He stated that while his administration continued to engage the federal government for intervention in the flood situation, the Special Directorate for Flood and Erosion Control and Management will be established to provide technical support for flooding and erosion-related issues. Speaking further, the governor further stated that the budget will be funded from various sources, such as the monthly Federation Account Allocation Committee receipts to the tune of 153.5 billion naira, representing 40% of the total budget. They highlighted the proposed expenditure to include personnel cost of 63.38 billion naira, overhead costs of 95.46 billion naira, capital expenditure of 167.5 billion, pension and gratuities of 14.71 billion, public debt servicing of 33.7 billion, and contributory pension of local government and RDAs and SUBEB of 4.7 billion naira respectively. And also the oil sector compared to Nigeria's projected oil production of 468.8 million barrels in the first 3 quarters of 2022. The country was able to drill 284.7 million barrels at the end of September. A review of data from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has shown the difference in the country's oil production pegged against its oil benchmark of 1.88 million barrels per day in the 2022 budget means that the country was only able to produce just about 60% of its total forecast for the period. With the 58.2 million barrels per month estimated approved benchmark by the National Assembly in December last year, the difference between actual and projected output was a whopping 184.1 million barrels of unproduced oil. Nigeria's oil sector challenges have recently worsened, with production hitting a higher record low of 972,394 barrels per day in August and plunging to a new record low of 937,000 in September. Nigeria's capacity to drill enough oil to boost its desperately needed foreign exchange has continued to sail around a rarely seen price of $100 but has been severely challenged by a horde of issues. And in the meantime, the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Umaru Garuba Dambata, has said after generating over $500 million, that's about 120 billion naira for Nigeria, the regulator is targeting more revenue from another auction round of the 5G spectrum. Dambata made this known during a media tour on Monday in Abuja. He said, quote, "We need to do more and create more by leveraging on 5G services to create more opportunities to make the society more productive and add to the GDP per capita." He also said the proliferation of the 5G network will increase productivity in all sectors of the economy, thereby increasing Nigeria's gross domestic product. While speaking on the revenue assurance system, which was approved to verify the amount of taxes payable as an annual operating levy to the NCC, he said the commission has warned telecommunications providers against paying less of what they are supposed to pay. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has appointed MTN, Airtel, and commercial banks to withhold value-added tax charged on all taxable supplies made to them and remit to the service. This is contained in a public notice the Federal Inland Revenue Service issued on November 1, signed by its executive chairman, Mohammed Nami, where the service explained the role of the companies as well as the obligations of their suppliers regarding the withholding of value-added tax. The service noted that these companies were expected to remit the tax they will withhold on or not before the 21st day of the month immediately following the month the tax was withheld in the format prescribed by the service. The notice further explained the options that were available to suppliers of these companies whose output tax is withheld. It further noted that the service has instituted adequate measures to ensure prompt payment of refundable input tax under this arrangement, while also stating that input tax claims, which include refunds, are subject to the limitations imposed by Section 17(2) of the VAT Act. Meanwhile, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has collected a sum of 7.5 trillion naira as taxes from January to September this year. The executive chairman of the service, Mohammed Nami, has said, speaking on the occasion of the joint TED Fund and the service interactive section on Monday in Kano, Nami said the amount was a significant improvement from the 6.4 trillion naira collected within the same period in 2021. Represented by the head of the service in Kano State, Haman Sule, the chairman explained that non-oil sector accounted for about 4.3 trillion naira of the collected fund, while the petroleum profit tax accounted for 3.1 trillion naira. He also said that education tax fund recorded a significant leap since the beginning of the year, adding that the service has so far collected a sum of 309 billion naira, which was higher than the 305 billion naira budgeted for the whole year. According to him, this performance was a clear indicator that the reforms introduced by the federal government were yielding results, while stressing that the service's determination to ensure that no revenue gap was left uncovered in the effort to improve the nation's tax collection. He confessed that the introduction of a tax administration solution has enhanced compliance and collection of taxes from the taxpayers, as technology deployed to ease the compliance of taxpayers was working. And in a move to further boost trade and investment inflows into Nigeria, the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, and the Bank of Industry have signed a memorandum of understanding that will see businesses receive more funding to expand their operations in the years ahead. The deal, among others, seeks to establish a joint project preparation facility that will provide early-stage project preparatory financing and technical support services to public and private sector entities operating in Nigeria. Under the MOU signed, Afreximbank and Bank of Industry will mobilize resources to unlock investment into sectors such as energy, transport, logistics, ICT, and special economic zones, industrial parks, solid minerals, and services such as healthcare, hospitality and tourism, and the creative economy. The Memorandum of Understanding is intended to de-risk projects and attract critical private sector investment to stimulate industrialization and support value-added export in the country. And away from there now, Oyo State Governor Engineer Seyi Makinde has assured the people of the state that the Fashola Agro-Industrial Hub project in Oyo West local government will produce it processed farm produced by 2023. Governor Makinde gave the assurance during an inspection tour of facilities of the agro-industrial hub. He promised to transform the state agri sector multi-billion-dollar business and called on relevant stakeholders to partner government to reposition agriculture. On completion, the Fashola Agro-Industrial Hub will include dedicated crop and livestock production facilities, research and innovation centers, processing facilities, agricultural equipment, leasing facilities, cold chain, storage, packaging, distribution and export facilities, and a sprawling residential area.
In terms of the quality, I think the quality is okay. Surely we're moving, but again, until we completely deliver, I'm not always satisfied. So that's why I'm putting pressure on my people that we must double up our pace and deliver. And I think I'll incentivize them, whatever it is that they need to make the job move a little faster, I will do for them. Well, you see, we've been to the industrial and processing end. You can see everything coming together nicely. It is a journey. It is not a destination. So the journey is on. We are moving, and I'm sure within 2023, we will definitely see a processed produce out of this place.
You'll be watching Business Now, coming to you live from our studios. Still to come, cryptocurrency slide as concerns over FXT exchange rattle markets. Bring you details and more news updates after this commercial break. Please stay with us.